Well, guys, the Los Angeles Chargers have made a roster move. It's currently 10:37 p.m. when I'm recording this, but the Chargers, they wasted no time in bringing in veteran running back Ezekiel Elliott. You can tell who's a casual football fan and who isn't by their reaction to this move. Nobody's expecting Zeke to be his 2017 self, but last year with the Patriots, Zeke was pretty good. He actually led the Patriots in the receiving yards, and I know that might not seem like much because the Patriots' lack of receiver core is clearly glaring. But Zeke still has a lot left in the tank, and he wants to go and get a Super Bowl. And for the Chargers, you realize that you got J.K. Dobbins as your running back one. Gus Edwards, to this point, not exactly sure if he's going to play against the Texans on Saturday. Let's look at the latest update. So 15 hours ago, questionable. So there's still nothing on Gus. So even if he plays, just having another guy out there in the backfield that can block, that can catch the ball, that of course short yardage, goal line type of situations can fight in. Whenever I look at veteran players, I understand that they can't consistently produce like they once could, but they still can show glimpses and flashes of it. And for the Chargers, I think Zeke is going to help them be able to go out there and compete in the AFC playoffs, because to me, what it will come down to for the Chargers is going to be their efficiency running the football and how well they're able to do that. The Chargers this season, when they run the ball, they've been practically unbeatable, but the games they've lost, especially against the better teams, like for example, when they lost against the Steelers, they lost against the Chiefs twice. They weren't able to run the ball. So they're going to have to get that going because Justin Herbert can be Superman, but you don't want to put him into obvious dropback situations. The Chargers, they've got Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, but just asking for too much, especially on this offensive line, because the Texans, I don't think they're the best team in the world, but one thing they're elite at is getting after the quarterback. The only team that has more sacks than the Texans is the Broncos. I mean, they've got Daniil Hunter. They've got Will Anderson Jr., Denico Autry. They've got a lot of talent, and they're going to send everyone at Herbert. You got to be able to run the ball. And I actually do like Zeke being the RB2. If Gus is healthy, he knows the scheme, the system. Obviously, he's going to be over Zeke. But if Gus is not good to go, I mean, I can trust Zeke to take 5, 6 carries in this game and to be able to turn it into 4.5, 5 yards per carry. I'm excited about it. I actually like this move. I mean, the fact that I was actually cooking and I stopped midway just to go and make this video when I found out immediately that Zeke signed. I've always liked Zeke. I know he wants to win, and he fits right into this team and this culture, and I'm glad that, of course, the Chargers brought him in. And this game against the Texans, I mean, we're going to preview it a little bit more in depth. I'm going to get the stats and the numbers. I've watched a lot of Texans game this year. Obviously, I've seen every Chargers game. But to me, what it's going to come down to is just who can protect their quarterback better. The Chargers, they've had stretches this year where they've done it as well as anyone. They've also had some pretty poor stretches. The interior on the line to me isn't the most impressive. Zion Johnson, Trey Pipkins the third, Jamari Sawyer in limited play, like Bradley Bosman. I thought he's had his moments. I think he's a very athletic center who can pull, and he's had some good blocks. But just for Zeke, just that veteran in the locker room that wants to win. You want to bring in a guy right before the playoffs that's going to go out there and be a good teammate and cheer your guys on. He also can coach on the sideline, and if needed, he can step in and pass protect. At the very least, the Chargers are getting one of the best pass blocking running backs in football, which is a huge benefit because you want to protect Justin Herbert. I don't envision Zeke this being a long-term move. It's just strictly for the playoffs. But if the Chargers do win the Super Bowl, I think we'll look at Zeke and be like, hey, look, he helped. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have won it without Zeke, but I think you're a better football team. I think this is a better football team with Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know how anybody can disagree. And this is the type of move that the Chargers needed to make right before the playoffs. So let's bring in that cherry on the top and go out there and compete. And with the Chargers in the playoffs, they're going up against the Texans are the 4th seed, the Chargers the 5th seed. So unless the 6th seed, which is the Steelers, so if the Steelers beat the Ravens or the Broncos beat the Bills, then that team will have to go on the road to Arrowhead. But let's be realistic. I don't see those teams winning, or at least I don't think they will, as my mic drops, which means that the Chargers, more than likely, assuming they beat the Texans, will have to go to Arrowhead, and then after that they'll play the winner of the Bills-Ravens game, which would be in their building because both of those teams have a higher seat. So the Chargers have to win 3 road games, and then if they go to the Super Bowl, let's say they have to play the Eagles or the Lions, the Vikings. So this is going to be a very, very difficult playoff run. But if anybody can do it, it's Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, and these boys. I'm extremely excited, and I cannot wait to see what happens.